Welcome back to Light Beyond the Ashes, the podcast where science meets spirituality and awakening becomes embodied. I'm your host, Amber Humphrey. My next guest, Katie Zenisek, walked through a spiritual awakening that cracked her whole world wide open. What began as a quiet curiosity for tarot cards and crystals became a doorway into channeling, higher dimensional gifts, and a relationship with spirit that continues to expand in the most beautiful ways. Everything deepened when her sister Erin was diagnosed with cancer and later transitioned. Through her grief, Katie began receiving signs and synchronicities so vivid, so unmistakable, they reshaped her understanding of connection, death, and the unseen threads that hold us together across all time and space. Her energy is magnetic, her presence is luminous, and this conversation will make you laugh, cry, and remember that we are never, ever separate from the ones we love. And if you're on your own path of awakening, make sure to like and subscribe. Every story shared here carries a frequency that finds the souls who need it the most. Welcome back to Light Beyond the Ashes, the podcast where we talk about all things spiritual. And in this one, we're going to dive into energy healing, channeling, some tarot cards, and what it was like to go through a dark night of the soul to find the light on the other side. This week's guest is Katie Zenisek, and I have been following her for so long on TikTok. She's Zenny Light. And if you've seen her videos, I know she's brought light into your world too. So welcome to the show, Katie. I'm so excited to have you today.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, this feels like a fever dream for me just because you were there for me in a way that it was like in the shadows. You had no idea that you were there for me, but I was going through my own dark night of the soul and I found TikTok and there your bright, shiny face was giving me messages of hope to keep going, that better days were ahead for me. So I just want to say thank you so much for saying yes to being on the show today. And I know that a lot of people are going to see your light and understand right away how we're here.
Oh, well, thank you. It's an honor to be here too.
Ah,
Um,
so tell the
Sorry, I'm
world. No, girl, hey, world, we're a little nervous. We can't stop
yeah,
giggling. We love each other already. And this
yeah.
is real. So tell the world a little bit about yourself and how we got here.
Um, well, I don't even really know how I got here. It's just I decided I went through I've gone through multiple spiritual awakenings throughout my life, but I've kind of pushed them away. I kind of was like, yeah, like that's a ghost or that's this or that's I don't know. I had no idea. And then I
Hmm.
had just these things that started happening to me where I just could not deny it anymore, and it was just kind of I mean, it was like God, source, universe, whatever you wanna call it. It was just shaking me to, like, rise up into being, I guess, myself. I guess I wasn't trying to be anything but myself, and I never had really done that before. I've always kind of masked up or, try to fit into boxes, and then one day I was just like, "Well, I guess I'm just gonna be me and see how it goes." And then all of a sudden, magically, people followed along my spiritual journey, and then I kind of got thrown into this role. But it's kind of crazy when I look into. Are you into astrology at all?
I'm into it, but I don't really fully understand it. I listen to other people who know what they're talking about, and I'm like, oh yeah, that deeply resonates.
Oh yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about with astrology, but when I look at my own personal chart, it's like my blueprint of who I'm supposed to be, and I'm like, well, this is kind of crazy. So it's just kind of I don't wanna get too much into that just because I'm not educated in it enough to, like, speak on it, but, part of it was saying, like, I'm gonna be, like, an intuitive healer and, I have a whole lot of Cancer in my chart, so
Oh,
but it's not like I read it and I was like, "I'm gonna be that." It's just I became it and I read it and I was like, "That is me." Like, that's weird.
I know. I did my human design and I was like, oh, I'm a manifesting, what is it called? Generator. And I
Yeah.
just have all these ideas and I can create, but I need support and how to follow through. And So I had on here, her name's Lindsay Lee, and she's like a quantum hypnosis healing therapist. And it's
Cool.
just so cool. And she was like, you have to be a manifesting generator. I'm like, well, let me go look at my birth chart. And there I was. I was like, well, how does this describe me to a T? How did the stars know that I'm going to be
Yeah.
this, born at this time? But it just is. It's really magical, actually.
It really is, and when I looked at mine, I was I'm a manifester, so it makes sense when I speak something, it just, like, happens, or I have to, I don't even know. I don't even fully understand it, but every time I read it, I'm like, "Well, it ding, 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 ding." It's just it's odd how it just all
Yeah.
kind of lines up, but yeah, so
So,
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
so whenever you were, waking up, were you in your 20s, like your teens? Like when did everything kind of start unfolding for you?
Um I guess I've always had a really strong intuition, but I didn't really know what it was. I just kind of thought that was weird, or, I could just tell. I believe I have the gift of discernment. I know when people are lying to me. I know when people are being authentic. Um, it kind of got me into trouble a few times because somebody would enter a room and everybody would love them. And I'd be like, I don't trust that person kind of thing, but I would be quiet about it. But there were times after my spiritual awakening where I was like, "Oh my goodness, like I actually can kind of see how this became to be." I've resisted it for a really, really, really long time, but without getting too uh I guess the way I got thrown into this was kind of I guess you could say controversial, I guess. So
Okay.
I think it was in 2019, and it's weird because I'm not, like, much of, like, a psychic dreamer, but I kept having
Mhm.
dreams that COVID was coming, and I didn't understand it. I would tell my friends and my family, like, months and months before it happened that, like, "Hey, everything's gonna shut down. Do we have a plan? Let's do a plan." And everyone's like, "Conspiracy Kate." Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, they just said there's Yeah, and I was married at the time, and, my ex-husband's family owns a restaurant, so I would go to him, and it's in, like, a downtown kind of skyway system. It really relies on people going to work to survive. So I was talking to him and, like, his family. I'm like, "Do we have backup plans? Because everything's gonna shut down." And they all thought I was crazy. Like, everyone thought I was crazy. I worked at a restaurant at the time. I was crazy scrubbing my hands because I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew something was going to happen because I don't know how to explain it. I just felt it in my
Mhm.
soul, like, I am not wrong about this. And at the time, um, I wasn't going through a divorce quite yet, but I was in therapy. And so I would tell my therapist, like, "Hey, everything's gonna shut down." And he's like, "I think that's just anxiety." So I still remember, like, the first Zoom call that we did, and he was like, "How did you know?" And I'm like, "I don't know how I know things. I just know things." And then that kind of launched me into reflecting on how I had known things in the past.
Mhm.
Um, so kind of during that time, I kind of was seeking for answers, and I kind of stumbled upon, like, an online group of friends. We were called the Quantum Collective, and we would kind of share, yeah, we would share experiences or, like, our abilities or things like that. And I became friends with a lot of the people on there because during COVID, we didn't work, so we could have voice chats all day.
Mhm.
And I started to realize I wasn't alone in these things. And some of the women in the group introduced, like, meditation and other things like that. Um, and through meditation, I had this really profound. Okay, well, let me backtrack. I felt called to go get crystals. I don't know. Do you have crystals?
I'm holding one.
Oh, okay.
Am I right? Crystal
I'm
bag.
like, where are mine? I'm like, I want to hold mine. I'll hold my selenite. But
They have energy, they help, they really do.
yeah, yeah. So one of the girls, she was like, "Okay, you need to go to the store and get, like, a crystal or whatever." And I was like, I remember I would drive. It was during COVID, and I have little kids, and so I would drive and park my car and do my Zoom calls so I could have privacy because a lot of the calls were about my unhappy marriage. And my ex husband was at home during. Well, we were married at the time, but at home. And I remember after a therapy call, I felt so called to go into this crystal shop because everyone was kind of talking about it. I'm like, I think it's time to get one. And I walked into the store and I was the only one there. And I was like, okay, like, how do I do this? Or, and she's like, just pick up a crystal. And if it There's like a thing floating in front of me. It's like not a feather, but like a little fluff. She's like, just take a crystal and put it in your hand, and if it vibrates, that's the one for you. And I was like, okay, wackadoo. Like, you know what I mean? I was like so rude, but I mean, I already had those dreams and everything like that and
Yeah.
evidence, but I still was pushing it away. And I was like, I don't believe this. You know, she's just trying to sell crystals. And so I go and I put a crystal in my hand and I'm like, nothing's happening. I'm like, okay. And then I put one in my hand and all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 boom. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, my body just started in chills just now. And I was like, okay, well, that's coming home with me. And I was at like the checkout counter and I actually have it right here. There was like these things. Do you know
Mhm. The
what those
pendulums,
are?
little pendulums. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, what is that? And she's like, oh, well, you can actually contact your higher conscious self by talking to it. And I was like, that's weird. Like, I don't know. I wasn't into it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get that one. So I came home that day and there was one of the girls in that group, the Quantum Collective group. She guided us through this like really beautiful like route to like crown chakra meditation. And I felt very like activated. So I was home alone and I was like, I'm going to try this thing out. So I was sitting there and I was like, okay, I'm going to like contact my higher conscious self. And it didn't feel like myself. I didn't know about grounding. I didn't know about anything at that point. And what happened to me was, like, very bizarre. Um, it's, like, even, like it makes me uncomfortable to even, like, repeat it, but the thing started moving, and I was like, "Who am I talking to? Am I talking to my higher conscious self?" Well, I guess I should backtrack if the viewers don't know. You can, use it and ask it yes or no questions. It will move a certain way or it will spin, and, you kinda use that to kind of it's kind of like, now that I've more experience in it, it kind of feels like, the cans, like telephone game, like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It feels like that, like you're contacting the spirit world. But I
Mhm.
had intentions of contacting myself. And I said, "Am I contacting myself?" And it said, "No." And I was like, "Oh, well, am I contacting a family member?" And it said, "Yes." And I thought maybe, I have a grandfather that passed away when I was 10, and I actually named my son after him, like, he was, like, my world. He lived with us growing up, so I really wanted to contact him. I said, "Are you male?" And it said, "No." So instantly, I knew it was my grandmother who I had never met, and I was, like, kinda disappointed, to be honest, because I feel like there was no connection there, and I was like, "Okay, like, can I see you?" Because I believed back then that you had to see a ghost or a spirit for it to be real. I didn't
Right.
understand all the clairs and things like that,
Yeah.
which I don't really see spirits. Do you?
No, I don't see
Yeah,
spirits. In my
I don't
mind's eye, I, like, see a story and I see an entire movie in my head, but I don't
yeah,
see it in front of me. I see it in my mind's eye, the third eye.
yeah. So I was like, "Can I see you?" And it said, "No." And I was like, "Okay, well, can you show me that you're here?" And I shit you not, something grabbed my arm. Like, there was a vibration on my arm, and I was like, "Oh," and then my body just went chills, and I was like and all of a sudden, it's like I had this out of body experience. Like, I could, like, see myself. Like, I was above my head seeing myself sitting there with this thing spinning, and it was my grandmother, my mom's mom. And, I just got the storyline of just stuff that I probably shouldn't be able to access. And, basically, I got this, story of her death or not necessarily her death, but maybe like a secret that the family was keeping. And at the time, I wasn't in contact with my mom because we had, political tensions and, just things about COVID and things like that.
That
But
was a tough time for a lot of families for sure.
yeah, it was hard. So, I remember coming out of the trance because I came out of this trance and I'm like, "Can I swear on here?"
Mhm, mhm.
I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" I, like, had snot dripping down my face. I was bawling, and I was just like,
Oh my
"What
god,
just
I've been there.
happened to me?"
I've been there,
I
girl.
I was like, "I'm going crazy, like, so I need to go
Mhm.
get, like, grippy socks." Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I was just like, "Lock me up because I don't know what I just experienced."
I
But, like,
deeply
the mess
resonate with that experience.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
But, like, I was thrown into this. So
Mhm.
the message that my grandmother was trying to give, was that she, even though she couldn't show it, she really deeply loved her children. It's like she was in this like this storm, and she was trying to grab her kids, but she couldn't because there was something like shackled to her or something. Like, I won't go into
Mm,
specifics, but
yeah.
um, so I came out of it, and my uncle happened to text me that day because um I was like, I prepped for COVID because I knew it was coming. So when it happened, I was delivering food and all this stuff to friends and family. And I think he was just checking in on me. And I go, okay, well, since you reached out to me today, I have something crazy to tell you because I have a
Mhm.
message for you. And and he's a very logical man, like, but he received it so well. Like, I told him something that he needed to hear, kind of thing. And since I wasn't talking to my mom at the time, I reached out to my sister Erin, and I'm gonna get emotional. But um, and I was like, "Hey, I need you to let mom know, like, grandma really loved her, you know?" And she was like, "Katie, that is crazy because I just had a conversation with mom trying to fix our relationship." And she goes, in the conversation, mom goes, "I don't even know if my mom even loved me." So, like, that message that came through, yeah.
Chills.
And so it was just like, I just went with it because I was like, okay, well, this is crazy, but like it's making sense. And it's things I might have not have known. Um, because yeah. Long story short, my grandmother had like a bad accident when she died young, but she had a bad accident, saw a chiropractor, nothing against them, but they kind of messed her up. So then she was put on pain pills and she just was never herself after that. And that's what I saw like glitching back to her. But, so then after that, I just was like, I went back to the crystal shop and I was like, "What the fuck is
What did
this?"
you do to me?
Because I had this pain in my shoulder, that I had a horrible pain in my shoulder, and I didn't realize where my grandmother's pain was, but I feel like I manifested her pain in my body, and I was like, "How do I
Mhm.
get rid of this pain?" And, she introduced me to, well, I had some friends that were like, "You should do Reiki," and then this woman who ended up being yeah, ended up being my instructor, taught healing touch. So then I also did Reiki and healing touch. I don't know if you're familiar with healing touch,
Did
but
you so I am a Reiki practitioner myself, and I when I put my hands on people, like I did yesterday with a mom, um, her whole body just feels like it's vibrating, and then it feels calm, and the pain goes away, and she's got cancer, and it's like nothing makes the pain go away. And so
yeah,
it's just there's something about that love energy of when you just touch someone and it's pure that
yeah,
has a healing component, and I had never really heard of Reiki before all of this. I'd, like, heard of it in a distance, but I thought it was weird and woo-woo, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay."
yeah.
But, it's real. It's very, very real.
Oh, it's so real. And so I got into that kind of world and things like that. And then I don't know, it's a long story of how I got to be where I am. There's more. Do you want me to keep going or do you want me to pivot?
Well, let me see. So whenever you first started channeling, like, I think there's that especially since you were like it sounds exactly like my story, which is so funny because I also was the quote unquote crazy person who knew COVID was gonna be real, having meetings about like, what are we gonna do with our business? We're gonna have to shut down. Everyone looking at me like I was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I was like, I cannot tell you why I know this, but I just know it in my bones. This is gonna be the one thing in our lifetime that shuts us like the entire world down,
My
right?
body's been
And
chills. Yeah.
then oh, yeah, and the fact that you had the same experience and it was so real, and then having the awakening of, like, claiming back your power, being like, "I'm gonna go, like, be curious, and I'm gonna be open-minded." But when it first started happening to me too, like, it caught me off guard, I didn't know what was happening, and so, I think the biggest reason why I do this podcast is because people sometimes stumble into spirituality, right? Like, you're desperate for like, pain relief, you're
Yeah.
desperate for emotional healing. You're like, I've tried everything else. I've done Western medicine. I've done all these things. My heart is breaking. I'm in therapy because I was in therapy too, dealing with my own issues.
Yeah.
And I was getting some relief from it. But then it wasn't somatic. It wasn't like in my soul healing. It was more like my mind could heal, but like my heart and my body weren't healing. So
Yeah.
whenever you started going through this awakening process, did you find that like that the therapy and the Zoom calls was not cutting it and that something else was needed for your healing to continue?
Um, I felt like the Zoom calls were helping in a sense, but it was just like a band-aid. It was just I what I needed was to get out of my marriage, I think, because it was keeping me eh, I don't wanna say too much about him just because I
Mhm.
love my kids and everything like that, but we did not work well together. It was a toxic environment for me to heal in. And
Mhm.
actually, I suffered with, like, a lot of depression, suicidal ideations, like, almost every day. Um, I would even, like, record myself singing lullabies to my kids in case I, like, finally decided to leave. Like, I was so unhappy. I felt like that was my only escape. So I think that's
Yeah.
why spirituality got thrown at me, because the moment we got a divorce, I became free again. And I'm not saying he's a bad person, it's just we did not vibrate well
The
together.
energies didn't work well together. Yeah, it
Yeah.
happens for sure.
And we
But you
co-parent really
learned.
well. Yeah, we co-parent really well together. I think we had to separate to be the better versions of ourselves. I think he's an amazing father, but it's just, my soul was just it was screaming at me. My body was screaming at me. Like, I would have migraines, like, 15 times a month. I would go to the doctor being like, "How do I fix this?" Like, they would do scans on me. Nothing was working. It was just my body was so tense and in pain all the time.
Mhm.
But um, once I stepped into spirituality and, like, healing myself from, like, my soul out, everything, like, disappeared. It's kind of like, um, I had never felt that sort of, like, freedom or peace before. But I think it was because I was allowing myself to be myself too. It wasn't I unmasked and I was, uh yeah,
Yeah, and you and I both kind of were joking earlier before we started that we both have really bad ADHD, and I think it is my superpower. I don't think it's
yeah,
necessarily a deficit, but I think that it is challenging for certain areas of life, and then that also makes me a highly sensitive person, and I'm very
yeah.
perceptive to emotions. I'm very much like extrasensory perception. As someone who's got the diagnosis of ADHD, did you feel like you had that extrasensory perception of energies and when people didn't have your best interest and like you could feel the truth when the words weren't matching?
Yes, but I always trusted them over myself, and that's where I got into trouble. 'Cause I
Yeah,
always felt
that's
like I was wrong. I was always the one that needed to be fixed or fine-tuned or things like that, so I would feel those things, but I also felt like there were projections of
mhm.
myself onto them, so I'm like, "Well, I can at least go within and heal that," but then I would just run into walls because it was just, you can only really heal yourself, you can't really heal. I mean, I know it's a ripple effect, but, uh, sometimes the lesson is in releasing and letting go too.
So how did you then get into tarot cards? Because I feel like the tarot and the channeling, obviously you're doing your little crystals and you're doing the yes, no with the pendulum and you're like getting higher self and ancestor information. How did you then get into tarot, which I think is for some people really controversial? Like I talk about it and people are like, oh my God, tarot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just energy. Like
Yeah.
it's energies. So tell the world a little bit about that.
Um, I just I well, it kind of there was more, like, pushing to my, I guess, helping other people that happened in the meantime. It's kind of a long story, though, but I'll try to say it as quickly as I can. So, all of that stuff started happening to me, and I was like, "I need to go see a psychic to see, like, what is going on with me," and I immediately thought of this man that I have organically run into a few times in my life, who's a local psychic in my area. His name is Michael Bodine, and, I would run into him randomly. We would have interactions. I bought one of his books, and when I was reading his books, one of the things that he wrote was when he was doing, like, a reading for somebody that just didn't feel like this place was their home. You know what I mean? And he's like, "How do I?" So I'm just like, "I yeah."
Yeah.
He's like and I kinda say he's like, "When you look up" what he said in his book, he's like, "Do you resonate when you look up at the stars, you miss home?" And, when I
Mhm.
read that, I just started bawling, and I was like, "I feel like this man can help me," kind of energy. Um, so I went to go see him, and I had this, like, vision of what he was going to tell me in the reading on my way to the reading, and basically in the reading before this, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was in school for marketing. I finished all my marketing classes, but to get my degree, I had to take, other classes, you know? So I was
Mhm.
studying, criminal forensics and criminal psychology. I know they don't go hand in hand, but I have ADHD, so I need to, like, study something I'm
Stimulate your
interested
brain.
in. Yeah. So at this point, I was either going to, I had that weird, grandmother incident, and then I was like, should I get into Reiki? Should I go back to school? Like, what should I do? Finances weren't an issue for me and my marriage, so it was just kinda like, "Let's have fun," kinda thing. And, so I kinda went to him for guidance, and he's like he goes, "Honey, you can" what did he say? He's like, "Honey, you can make, chicken shit in the chicken salad," or something like that. He's like, that's not here what you're here to do. You're here to, like, help people heal." He's like, "I see you." He's like, "It's so weird. I see you in so many rooms all at once. I don't understand, but you're in but then it makes sense because it's TikTok. Like, you're in so many rooms all at once."
You were
And
in
he's
my
like,
room, girl.
yeah. And he's like he was just like, You were put through all of these things to help people get through them themselves." And he went through into this crazy detail, and he's like, "But you're really meant to be a healer." And I took that as, like, a literal sense of, like, hands-on Reiki healing,
Yeah.
not like tarot. And so I remember going to my husband that night, and I'm like, "Well," I had him listen to the recording. And he was like, "Well, what do we do?" And he's like, "Well, we'll figure it out." And we had gone to, we decided to go on vacation. We were about to get divorced, but we did this, like, Hail Mary kind of, well, maybe he wasn't aware of that, but, like, this trip was like a Hail Mary kind of trip. Like, let's see if we can
Mhm.
make this work kind of thing. So the kids and him and I, we went to the Virgin Islands, and I remember there's so many synchronicities that were just, like, lining up. There was a woman at the airport who ended up gifting me my first, like, oracle deck. She sent it to me in the mail because we helped her out at the airport. She got there, she didn't have any money. She thought she could use Apple Cash or something like there, so she was stranded at the airport. We ended up, like, taking her to her hotel. Then later she invited us to this, like, full moon, like, fire, like, ritual thing on top of an island, and, like, on the
What?
way there, all these lights were flickering, and it's just like she felt like a soul fam member. And, but we went to this, store, and when we were looking at actually, I got this ring at that store, and we were just, like, browsing, and at the store, this woman comes up to me, and she goes, "I'm so sorry. I don't mean to impose, but I need to tell you that you are meant to heal people." And my ex-husband and I just looked at each other, we're like, "What the fuck?" We're like, well, yeah." And I was like, "Okay, well, I guess when I go home, I'm not going back to school. I'm gonna do this healing thing."
Oh
And
my
then
god.
actually through healing and things like that, like the healing touch classes and stuff, I found, like, the courage to really just kind of it's a little bit more complicated, but I like, there was more pieces of the puzzle, but just to keep it short, I realized I had to get out of my marriage, like, I couldn't heal within it, and I kinda got visions of that. So then after I got divorced, I just had this calling to get, like, a tarot deck. I had one, but I felt called to use it online and to 'cause, let me backtrack a little bit. I all of a sudden, my For You page on TikTok was filled with tarot readers,
Me
and
too.
I everything they were saying made sense about, like, what I was going through. I'm like, "How do they know?" So what I
Mhm.
did was I took a tarot deck while they were doing it, and the same cards were spitting out. And I was like, "Okay, this is weird." But I'm, like, such, like,
Right.
a investigator, like, I was studying criminal forensics and, like, all that stuff because I'm, like, an investigator at heart, and I'm like, "I need to
Yeah.
understand how this is happening. I don't understand how energetically we're getting the same cards." Like, it was blowing my mind. I literally thought I was going crazy. And so,
Yeah.
so then I remember one day I just, like, got this, like, calling from, I guess, God, and it was like, "You are going to go on TikTok and do tarot card readings." And I was like, "The fuck I'm not," because they're evil and they're this and they're that. And I grew up Christian. I love Jesus Christ, like, I
Me
truly
too.
do. And
Me too.
actually getting into cards brought me so much closer with my journey with Jesus. I know it sounds wild and crazy, but it's just that's how it I mean, that's what it was for me, and it's like, it wasn't to manipulate anyone, it was I was learning through the cards about what I needed to heal within myself, and it was, like, pushed really down low, but I didn't understand it was about me for a really long time until I started rewatching my videos. So I remember the first time I went on TikTok and I was like, "Hi, everybody, I have no idea what I'm doing," because because I didn't wanna, like, scam anybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to understand what was going on. I'm like, "I have no idea what I'm doing, but, here we go. Let's see what the collective needs to hear today." And it was crazy because all of the people that I really admired, and followed that were readers themselves started following me and started asking me for readings, and I was like, "Well, that's weird." And I was
Whoa.
like, "Okay, well, maybe there's something to this." And everyone was like, "You need to do you do personal readings?" I'm like, "No, I don't do that," because for a while it felt really, uncomfortable for me to receive, money for it. I had a really big receiving kind of hesitation.
Yeah.
Um, but everybody just pushed me into this role, I guess you could say. And I don't know, I promised myself from day one that I was going to always show up authentic and vulnerable and just me. I didn't want to be like a anyone but me. And I just kind of shared about my healing journeys. Uh, yeah, and then it just kind of became something. And then when my sister died, I don't know if we want to start there, but then it just kind of pivoted into a different direction. But it was kind of just helping people through their grief too.
Yeah. I honestly like, and what's so funny is that you say like so much about authenticity here. And as someone who's watched you for years, I don't even know what year it first was, but I'll just give you an example. It was when you had the rock on your finger and you blew
Oh
the rock
yeah.
off. That was how long I've been following you, is when
Oh
you're
my
like, I'm
gosh.
with my mind, I'm telling this rock to fall off my fingers, like the telekinesis. And now I see more and more people doing telekinesis. And I'm like, oh my God, humans are so cool. What can we do? But
Yeah.
your videos, whether it be about joy or it be about grief, like how you're showing up right now is the same energy that you would show up in those videos. So authenticity is the highest vibrational frequency. And that's how I've like been told to also show up. And like I've talked about many times before, is that when God gave me this calling to do the podcast, like I have a lot of reasons why not to do this. I kind of shared with you. And
Yeah.
was like, "Why?" Like, that's so scary for me, and in the first, like, few episodes, like, I couldn't get through it without coughing, and, like, my throat would cramp up, and I'd have to get water. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," because my throat
Yeah.
chakra was still blocked because I was so afraid of
Now I want water.
this, right? But,
Sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm so sorry.
girl, it's ADHD. This is what we do. This is our superpower. I am fine. I like,
Okay.
I literally like, if I feel like our minds just think so fast, but it's also a synchronicity, and there's so much alignment here. So we're just like, "Yes, me too. I'm the same way." But
Yeah.
for like how you did the tarot cards, like I would have people tell me, well, that's evil. And I'm like, it doesn't feel evil. And if
Yeah.
anything, like I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. Yeshua is what I call him, right?
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
I did not have that relationship before my spiritual awakening. And now Jesus is my homeboy. And like it
Yeah.
is like this love that I didn't know, but I got there literally from tarot readers. Like it was you and Heather and all these like really wonderful creators and the Reckoning Co. and all these incredible creators. And I'm like, you're just people like me. Like now that I meet you guys on my podcast, like you're just people who went through your own dark night of the soul. But if this gift is helping people, then who is anyone to say anything is quote unquote evil? I'm like,
Yeah.
there's bad things that are happening in the world that are genuinely evil, but sharing hope and sharing like confirmations of what my soul was needing to hear, that's what tarot was for me. And I got my own decks, and I never picked up on like ever reading for anybody else because I didn't understand it as well as like, I don't know how you guys tell stories. It's just the coolest thing ever. But, for me, it became the channeling, and I watch you also do channeling. And so it's just like this higher self energy that is here to guide you through the darkness and tell you that, like, stay one more
Yeah.
day. You're okay, kid. You're okay. Keep going. Keep going. And it's very loving, very reassuring, but also they give you shit and they're like, stop it. And so it's such a cool experience. And so, I watched you as a stranger, and I felt like you were someone I knew, walk through grief of losing your sister at the same time that my mom was
Yeah.
being diagnosed with end-stage renal failure and being put into hospice. And my mom was given 3 to 6 months to live in September of 2023. So I don't know when Erin got sick first, but I felt like we were kind of closer to each other. And then, like, my mom I told my spirit told me that my
I'm
mom
so
was gonna be a
happy.
miracle, and she's still living. It's been 2 years.
It's so beautiful.
And it's so crazy to, like, have walked through something. It is, and being in deep grief, whether you're anticipatory grief or, like, you actually lost someone in that grief, in that way, I felt very close to
Oh,
you through the phone, So,
oh, I don't
tell
even
me a
know,
little bit
like,
about
her
Erin.
journey or just her
Yeah, tell me a
as
little about Erin and all
herself?
that. how the impact of everything and how it kind of unfolded and y'all's connection and how she's
Yeah.
visited you afterwards. Like, she's such a big part of your story, Katie. And so I just want to give you the platform to talk about
Yeah.
Erin's
Well,
role in your awakening and your own
we
healing.
were always best friends. Like, we grew like, even when we're 3 years apart, she's my older sister, and even after, we lived at home, we chose to live together. We worked at the same places, like, we were best friends, and then she moved out to California with her husband, and I didn't get to see her as often, but we would talk on the phone for hours every day, and she at first, she was not happy about tarot. She's like, "That is no, like, no, 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 like, I'm not gonna have my sister doing tarot," and I'm like, "No, it's okay," like, you know what I mean? And she didn't understand it, but she ended up appreciating me. She just never really wanted readings, but she appreciated, like, she wanted Reiki all the time, though. She loved Reiki and things like that, but so we would kind of butt heads about that kind of stuff, but we're sisters, so it makes sense. But, she got diagnosed
Mhm.
with breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer right when I was getting a divorce. So, and that was in 2021. And I remember her coming to me and being like, "Am I gonna survive this?" And I had, like, this deep knowing. And so, it was hard for me to kinda communicate that because 'cause I'm like, I really believe in manifestation, I believe in words are powerful, but I just kinda was like, "You will this time, but I'm really worried about the second time." It was just like this download. And I wish I didn't ever say that, but I did. And so she beat it. She beat it the first time, she was feeling great, um, and then I could tell, like, something was wrong. I remember asking her about a week before it came back. I said, "Is your cancer back and you're just not telling us?" She's like, "No, no, 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 like, no." But I think, um, I don't know, I'm just so connected to her spirit that I think I could feel it in my body. And so then when it came back, it was really aggressive. And I just knew. I felt bad because I wanted to have the hope and I wanted to have the faith, but I just kinda knew what her outcome was going to be. It was just, I never told her that, but it was just kind of like I was just really deeply preparing myself for losing her,
Yeah.
while, like, all of my family was still, like, believing in the hope that she was gonna it was a kind of it was really complicated to go through that because it's just like, I don't know, I got really upset with God, actually. I was angry at God because I was just like, "Why?" Like, that's, like, my best friend. It's like she was, like, the nicest person ever, like, she was so pure. I mean, she did she had a mean streak in her when she was younger, but once she was older, like, not mean streak, but you know what I mean, like, sister kind of rivalry kinda stuff. I mean, I would piss her off all the time, but, um, she just, like, literally was everyone's best friend. She was so supportive. She just, like, truly cared, like, I don't know anyone like her, but, I was just angry, like, I didn't understand, like, why bad things had to happen to good people, why her life was cut short. She's like, "No, no, no, we can't be angry with God." She goes, "I actually," she goes, "In some fucked up way, I kinda prayed for this." She's like, "I felt so alone. I felt like I didn't have a lot of support. I didn't feel like I had a lot of friends." She felt very isolated, and she goes, "And when I got cancer," and she had prayed that our family would come together, like, and get along. And she goes, "This was God's way of answering my prayers." She goes, "I didn't realize that this was going to be the outcome for me, but, like, I asked for this basically." And it's just like her attitude about she had no fear about passing. She didn't wanna leave. She was getting, like, FOMO, but she was at peace. She was more worried about us and how we would be. But, yeah, she just it's kinda crazy that, like, how she was able to handle everything like that with such grace and peace, and she loved, like, Yeshua, Jesus, and there was some stories too that I found just fascinating that just kind of well, and the thing too is, like, she didn't like tarot, but she believed in, like, my calling and in my purpose and things like that, and I think too, it just, like, she felt like she was a light worker, she felt like she wasn't from here, I don't wanna speak for her because she's not here, but because those are things she shared with me in private, but I think she'd be fine with it, but it
Yeah.
just kind of made me feel better when, um, with my faith because as we were talking earlier, Like, people are like, "Tarot cards are evil," like, "You're going," they like to project their fears onto us because they don't understand it.
Right.
And, um, just the way that she supported me through this, it just kinda made me I don't even know what I'm trying to say really, but I
Well,
guess there's a part of the story that I'm trying to, like, say, but I don't know how much time I wanna spend talking about it, but if you want it, I can tell you.
I think that there was you getting close to your sister when she was passing, and you were so honest and vulnerable and sharing that side with the world with strangers like myself. Like, it helped me fear death less with my own mom, right? And, like,
Yeah,
I would confront so, like, my mom was in the transition in 2024, May and June 2024, and, like, everyone's like, "She's transitioning." And I'm like, I was so angry at God. I was like, "Why would you do this? You promised me, like, everything was gonna be okay." But then when you confront death this way, and you're walking through the fire, and it's someone that you love the most, and then eventually you find the peace, I feel like everybody needs to understand that. Like, it doesn't mean you don't grieve. It doesn't mean you don't miss them. It doesn't mean, like, I wish that she was, your sister was still here, and I wish my mom was fully healthy and I could go take her and we could go do something fun other than being in hospice. But I don't fear death because just like you, I would stare at the stars and know that I wasn't from here and I miss home.
yeah, yeah,
And the fact that Erin was able to, like, kind of, I think, show you so much of the spirit side while she was living in her own light. And
yeah.
then as she transitioned, there was so many signs and synchronicities that you would share too that would show Erin was being in your presence. And, like, you would start singing, and she was a singer,
Yeah.
and you just have the most beautiful voice, and so did she. And I
Oh,
think
thank you. I don't believe
girl, listen, I
No.
could never, ever get on the internet and sing a note, and the fact that, like, that's what Erin was, like, calling you to do and spirit was calling you to do, I was like, "Damn, you're brave."
Well, she never wanted to be heard or seen or anything like that, so I was always trying to encourage her to come online. I was like, "I'll do it, like, I'll show you, like, who cares? Who cares what people think?" And then sometimes I can't rewatch those videos. I get so embarrassed. I don't.
Walking through a fear door, you walked through a fear door, and you did
Yeah,
it.
but
You
I
did
did
it.
it for her, just to, like well, it's not even for her, I did it for the others that are afraid to, that want to, because at the end of the day, why does it matter what someone thinks if you're out of tune or, singing isn't meant for just, professionals. It's something that we've been given, and it actually, like, really, it, like, helped regulate my nervous system, I think, too.
Do you wanna know why?
Why?
Okay. The physiological reason why, as an occupational therapist, let me put my hat on,
Yeah.
is because it stimulates the vagus nerve, which is part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So it gets you out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. So when you sing or hum or chant, you're stimulating the vagus nerve at the vocal cord level, and it lowers your heart rate and regulates your nervous system.
Oh.
So I tell people all the time, I'm like, you can do humming breathing, like how we started this today to kind of regulate our nervous systems so we can talk about these really vulnerable topics, without fear. Or you sing with your child, because I work with kids and their families. And they're like, oh my God, we started singing more and he's just a happier kid. I'm like, yeah, you're stimulating the vagus nerve. But, like, we feel shame or we feel disempowered, like, oh, I don't have the best voice. You're like, who cares? Go sing it out. Like, I sing in the car. I'm not good at that, but I
Oh,
sing in the car.
I'm sure you're great. I'm sure you're great.
I don't care. I sing loud, and, like, I feel like it clears my throat chakra, and, like, that has been such an important part of me having to have this platform of speaking, whether it be on TikTok, on Instagram, YouTube, or a podcast. Like, I'm using this voice that God gave me, and why the hell should I be ashamed of it? And I think
Yeah.
Erin taught you that, and then you taught me that, and so it's just
Oh,
been really cool.
aw, thank you. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been a journey. It's
did it?
been a it's been a journey. I think the worst part of that journey is when I came to TikTok, it was, like, under my alias and stuff like that because I didn't want people in my real life to find me. It was, like, this was my thing. It wasn't to, like, get followers or clout or fame or anything. I just wanted to heal loudly so other people could heal. So now when I, like, see, like, friends from high school or even close friends, like my things, and I'll go and click it, and it's, like, me singing, I'm like, "No!" I'm like, "No, it's not for them.
You're
It's
like,
not
"Not
for
that
them."
one, but not that
I'm like,
video."
"No." And I'm, like, contemplating deleting my whole account. I'm like, "This is so embarrassing." Like,
Oh my god. You're just so real, Katie. Like, this is what everybody experiences on TikTok. It's like, okay, I'm posting this because I feel called to, and then I hit post and I just, like, look away, and then I'm like, "Oh, crap." Someone who like, I'll have employees, they're like, "I saw your TikTok." I was like, "Which one?" They're like, "The one about UFOs." I'm like, "Oh, shit."
I know.
I'm like,
I know,
"Yeah."
it's like, "Oh, no." Like, sometimes it, like I don't know if you get, like, "On this day last year," and I'm like, "Oh, let's see it," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. No, thank you." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, it's so fun
Why?
talking to
I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "No," and my therapist is even like, "Oversharing is a trauma response." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." I'm like, "I'm just letting my freak flag or whatever, flag fly or whatever." I just
but
but I think
it's
it
so
helps people become like lets people know that they can be themselves,
yes,
hopefully.
and I hope that people who are listening are smiling and laughing because the joy this is the most joyous episode I've done so far. Like,
Oh.
I keep, like, wiping my eyes because 'cause I'm, like, crying because of emotions, I'm crying because 'cause I'm laughing, and you're just so real and relatable and authentic that it's like, yeah, this is what it's like to be a TikTok creator. It's like sometimes you feel cringy afterwards, but also you're just like, "I have to, sorry, send."
It's so cringy sometimes where I'm just like, "No, why did I sign up for this role? Like, why did I do this?" I'm like, "Whatever." But then you get messages from people. Like, I remember when you sent me messages and it keeps us going. They're like, "You made an impact on my life." And you're just like, sometimes for the longest time, I think people probably think I'm an asshole because I don't know how to respond to those messages.
Mhm.
It's, like, too much responsibility sometimes to be like, "Oh, shit." Like, I okay, like, I like that, but then it's like, I don't know about you, it's like, oh, it almost, like, makes you more f not that you made me more fearful, but, like, like, sometimes when I do, like, readings and they're just, like, I've had people say, like, "You have saved my life," and I'm just like, that scares me. Like, I appreciate that, like, I do respond to those, but I don't know, it's just, like, the responsibility of it. Because then it's like, "Oh, I gotta be careful with what I say because people are intently listening," and then you don't feel like you can be vulnerable, but you have to push past that barrier, and it's like, you're in this at least for me, I had so much, self-hatred with myself, like, at the beginning of my journey, like, I didn't know who I was, I didn't know how to become who I really am, and it's just I don't know, do you experience that?
Completely. I'm, like, over here and I'm thinking about all these messages of, because I still consider myself to be a small creator. I'm at, like, 23,000 followers, and I think that's insane. Because if I stood in front of 23,000 people, that'd be terrifying, you know?
Yeah, that's not small. That is not small. Like, I think that's huge.
Thank you. It is
Yeah.
in the perspective of humanity, I've only spoken in front of 200 people. Like, that's the biggest group I've spoken in front of, like, public speaking. And so to speak in front of 23,000 people and have that kind of captive energy is like, whoa, that's a
Yeah.
lot. But I get messages from people who it's the very first message they've sent me. And it is all about their childhood abuse, all about, like, really painful things they've gone through. And you're just like, I have to be very intentional about how I
Yeah.
respond to this because, like, their life is waiting for me on the other side of that, and it's like, you don't wanna get sucked into other people's trauma, but I
Yeah.
usually will sit there and I'm like, "Okay, what do they need to hear? They need to hear they're safe. They need to hear that you're loved and you're right where you need to be." And follow my page for more inspiration and love because I'm here to just be a beacon of light for you and to show you that the more you share your honest, authentic truth, the better you'll feel, just like the way that me and you feel so happy and so
Yeah.
joyous right now is because we went through a period of time where we were so scared. There was so much self-abandonment. There was so much self-hatred. I was so alone, and I wished I had somebody to talk to, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, even, like, me sending you a message of, like, I didn't know your name at the time. I was like, "Zinni, oh my god, your videos have helped me so much and, like, got me to the other side." Like, when that lands in the other person's DMs, you don't really think about how they're gonna receive it, but I always, like, pray it's with love and reverence of, "Wow, I am healing people." And so the
Yeah.
fact that you and I both got this calling that we're gonna use our voices and we're gonna be on this public stage of TikTok and how that scared the crap out of us because we were just ordinary people never doing this before, not doing it for money. I'm not doing this for clout. I'm not doing it for any other reason. But when you finally see that the messages that you've been given by spirit that you're supposed to heal the world and heal humanity, and then you get messages that you are, you're like, "Oh shit, this is right. This is real. Okay, this is how I hit the masses versus the one-on-one clients because I only have 40 hours in my week and I treat clients and I am limited by a physical schedule. but I am
Yeah.
not limited when I'm on the internet. I have people in Poland and Denmark and Spain and in Europe who are, like, messaging me, and I have to, like, translate it, and I'm like, "What does that say?" Ooh, and
Yeah.
it says, "Thank you, I love you," and I'm like, "Oh, how nice,"
Yeah.
you know?
Aw,
Like, don't you
I
feel the
love that.
same way?
I do. I do. I really I love all of that, and I feel, I had to learn a lot about boundaries too, though, through that, and
Yeah.
that was really difficult for me because you do get a lot of, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but there's a way to, like, say thank you, and then there's a way to just completely trauma dump, and then you feel responsible for it. So I really had to learn, especially if videos go viral, you get, like, hundreds of those messages, and it's just like, "I'm only one, I don't think they understand I'm only one person." And,
Mhm.
yeah, that was difficult for me. I don't know if you've experienced that, but it's just,
Yeah.
it was hard for me to not respond to every single one because I want to, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help, but then it was hurting me, and I don't does that sound selfish?
No, it sounds like you have healthy boundaries and you're on your own healing journey, is what that
Yeah.
sounds like to me.
Yeah. But, that's, I feel bad, like, saying that out loud, but it's just,
Well, I
yeah,
think that comes from a place of being honest, that we have, as a society, a mass epidemic of grief,
yeah,
sadness, depression, anxiety, anger. Like, that is what humanity is walking through. There's the people who I know that are, like, happy and in peace and healed are people who've gone through a spiritual awakening. The
yeah,
people who are still deeply hurting are in the beginning stages of it. They're in the depths of it, or they have no idea what this world is like. And
yeah,
so by us sharing, like, what our experiences are like, I'm hoping that it gives people the comfort and the confidence to step fully into the light and embrace the
yeah,
woo-woo and the weird and the crystals and the Reiki and the grounding, and maybe I do a channeled message with someone or a reading with someone and just see where it takes you.
yeah,
But know that your own healing at the end of the day is your own responsibility. It's you. I can only fix me and you can only fix you. And so while I can be a beacon of light, it is not my responsibility to heal anybody.
yeah,
They will be given a choice and they have to take a left or a right and go all the way in or continue to avoid the pain. And
yeah,
so, no, I don't think it's bad that you're saying I can't get to 1,000 messages, 100 messages of people who are sending me their deepest hurts, because I think anybody who really thinks about what that would be like would say that's a lot for me to take on emotionally, and energy is felt through the phone, through a message, through, phone calls,
yeah,
and you have your own family, you have your own life, and you're healing yourself. And
yeah.
so just keep shining bright. Like, that's what you're
Well,
supposed to do is you're supposed to shine bright.
yeah, well, and I will say too, like, if you ever, like, when it gets to be too much, I have found just, like, acknowledging the message with their name so they feel seen and heard, and just send them, like, "I send you love, light, and healing," because sometimes that's all you have to give at that moment, but I guess I feel, like, almost shame that I can't give more. Does that,
It does. Oh, I think that's because your heart's so pure, and you know
Yeah.
what it was like to be in that depth of pain.
Yeah.
And I did you reach out to it? Were you, like, the kind of person who would reach out to creators, or were you kind of like you just kinda healed quietly, privately by yourself?
I am like a Cancerian, like, I go into my shell. Even when my sister died, everyone's like, "Can I come over?" I'm like, "Nope, I just need to be alone. Like, please don't, like, I just need to do this on my own," kind of energy. But, like,
Yeah.
I went to TikTok to be like, the night she died, I was like, "My sister died tonight," because at the time, my family, my parents were, in California, where my sister lived. My little sister had her boyfriend. I was dating somebody who didn't think I needed support that night, didn't wanna come drive to see me. So I was like, "Well, I have this community of beautiful souls. I'm gonna express myself to them." And I had no idea that that video was going to blow up the way it did. But I mean, it was kind of fun. I mean, it's not funny, but like when one of the last conversations I had with Erin, I was like, "I'm gonna share your voice. Is that okay?" And she's like, "You have to wait until the day I die." And I was like, "Okay." So like when you're anticipating grief, it's just kind of it's not like we're waiting for that moment, but I was waiting for her relief in her suffering, you know?
Mhm.
So it felt like freedom at that day. Like it was, I mean, there was sadness, but it was like in pain anymore. So it's
Mhm.
just like I had the ability to show up because I had already processed for months what was going to happen. Um, so it was but I had said to her, I'm like, I'm gonna make you a star. Like just as like kind of a joke. I mean, she was kind of on all the drugs, when they're, and I'm like, you're gonna be a star. And she's like, oh, like, okay, and then that night after or the next morning, there was a song that came on. I wish I could remember it right now, but it was like I think it was We Stole the Show or something like that, and it was like, do you know that song? Yeah, and it was just like when the curtain closes, it's like we're gonna still steal the show or something. I don't know. I know that sounds so silly, but like I don't know. It's
No, I
just
so n after she passed, was that when do you feel like you went through another dark night of the soul and another spiritual awakening, after your sister's passing, and how did you come out through the other side of this?
I felt like when she first well, I knew the day that I mean, we knew she was going to be dying. And we my little sister and I were visiting her for like a couple weeks, and then we had to come home because we were both single moms and had to take care of our kids. So our parents sent us home, even though I really wanted to be there for her, but at that point, it's just kind of I couldn't stay. So it was weird. Like the morning of her passing, because this is kind of a sign. I had asked her, I'm like, "Will you let me know when you pass?" Because um, her and I would talk about, like, spirituality a lot. We felt very connected, and she promised me she would send me signs. So, I remember that morning I woke up and I called my mom because I was gonna mow her lawn because it had been, overgrown and stuff like that, and I, like, called her to ask her where, like, the lawnmower was and stuff, and then hung up the phone, and, like, 2 minutes later, she started to call me again, and I just knew, and I answer the phone, "She's gone, isn't she?" And then she was. And at that moment when I hung up the phone, a cardinal flew by my window and I went outside on my balcony and there was like a cardinal sitting there and I was like, she let me know. And it was just ever since and then since I acknowledged the sign and was like showing gratitude towards the sign, my ears ringing right now. But it's just like it was just a influx of just sign, 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 sign. Like I'm here, like I'm still connected kind of energy.
Mhm, mhm.
But it was crazy the amount of signs, like, I don't know if you remember, like, the Northern Lights signs? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if we have time for that, but that was, like, the
No, share whatever
craziest.
you wanna share. Share anything right now.
Well, I think too, the craziest things that happened to me was the signs that, I don't like the word following, but, like, my community was receiving from Erin because they felt so connected to her through her music, and I had the night that I told my children it was 2 nights after she died that their aunt passed away. Um, we went to this, there was a restaurant where I grew up, and it was where we went when my grandfather died. Like, my sister and I went there when, our grandfather died, and they had been closed during COVID, and, like, the day she died, they reopened. So we went to their grand reopening. Yeah, it's like this 50s diner kinda thing. And
Oh,
so I went with my cousins, and we went there, and we went back over to my cousin's house. My mom was still, I think, in California, but I was gonna tell my kids in person because they were with their dad during that time, and I just needed a couple days to myself. So, when we told them, it was, like, at the same place where my sister and I, like, grieved the loss of our grandpa, but we're at my cousin's house, and as I'm sitting there, she was going viral on TikTok, and I was with, like, my aunts and my cousins, and we're reading the comments or people were just sending me messages, and there was this woman she's like, "I just want you to know I was, like, sitting here listening to your sister. I'm in Northern Ireland, and a white feather fell beside me." And that we had, my grandmother who came to me in that, pendulum thing, she was from Northern Ireland. So it's just like there were just kind of signs and synchronicities that was just like crazy. And I have another story about like a TikTok thing too, but I'll get to that later. But sorry, I have ADHD. I have to like say that so I can get to it. But so that night, I my biggest dream ever is to see the Northern Lights. Like it was just like my thing, and she knew that. So and earlier that day, her best friend dropped off books for my kids. I think it's called The Invisible String, and it's
mhm,
about have you ever read it?
Mm-mm.
Basically, it's just like how there's a string to the person on, that has passed by, and there's always going to be this connection. And at the very end of the book, there's like a chain of people holding hands, and above them is like the Northern Lights. So that night, we were at my cousin's, and I got a text from I just wish I had time for all these stories because it's like crazy how this person came in. But there is a non-believer friend of mine who had lost somebody, and I convinced him that we can communicate to other people prior to Erin passing. And he texted me, he goes, "Your sister's on her way. The Northern Lights are gonna be in the sky tonight." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So, like, me and my family, we all ran outside and we look up at the sky and there's nothing there. And we're like, "Oh, bummer." And then all of a sudden the sky just opened up and the Northern Lights were above us. And we're like taking photos. I captured a photo of like a dove. It looked like a dove. And she used to send like a dove emoji when her fingers, she couldn't really feel her fingers with neuropathy. What is that called? Yeah.
Yeah.
So she would just send dove emojis a lot because it was just easier for her to do that. And then there was like an angel in the sky too, and it was just like, "Oh my gosh, like it's Erin, she's here." And it was just like so amazing. And then we even saw a shooting star, and we were just like all kind of holding each other, and just like how that book looked. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Oh, I've got chills from my head to my toes.
Yeah. So
Oof.
then one more crazier thing, then, like, my cousin was telling her friend or her neighbor about this because she was showing the pictures because like, everyone's, like, talking about it, and her neighbor looked at my sister's on Facebook just to, like, put a face to the name, and Erin didn't really use Facebook a lot, but the one of the last things she posted was a song called Northern Lights.
No way.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh. Like, and this is what there's no such thing as coincidences. Synchronicities
Yeah.
are what, when you finally are awake, you realize that it's just messages and signals and frequency from higher dimensional beings, higher dimensions of existence.
Yeah.
And there's no way that was not like planned and orchestrated by the universe. And it's just
Yeah.
plasma. Like, she returned to plasma and she came and visited you as an aurora borealis as plasma and then had all these like beautiful, it's almost like I'm literally, they're showing me. This is so funny. I never channel or get visions
It's
in a
okay.
podcast. This is so funny. They're showing me like a producer behind the like a keyboard, and they're showing me like the computer screen, and they're like, and then the dove, and then the Northern Lights, and then we're all holding hands, and like it's like how it's so beautifully orchestrated. How funny it is when you're at a higher dimension of existence is that you just see like this is all it's all us. Like
Yeah.
we created this, and Erin transitioned in the way that she did and for reasons that we, may or may not yet fully understand, but I'm sure your soul does and her soul does now because she's in the remembrance.
Yeah.
But it's like this human body is but a blip in time. It really is
Yeah.
such a small moment of existence if we are infinite, right?
Yeah.
If you can subscribe to the idea that we are infinite eternal beings of light, Erin just went back to the light. Erin went
Yeah.
back to her original state of being, and she's not far from you. It's a frequency that not a lot of us can tap into. And so I hope that people who are listening to this episode not only feel the love of sisters and the love of what it transcends space and time and how it can still give you peace even long after they're gone. Because now you know that she's always with you because your grandmother who you never met is with you. My grandfather who I never met came through the very first time I scribed and he told me that my mom was not okay, but that she would be. And I'm like, but I've never met you. You died before. But I always say that it's the most natural thing I've ever experienced because it just feels like home. To remember feels like being home. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Like, it really does, and it's just sometimes even when, like, those signs and synchronicities, even in our stories, like, your grandparents coming through, like, the first time we try and, channel or scribe or whatever, and they're coming through, and it's like, okay, there's this support. Even though there was never a physical bond, it's like, um I wrote it down the other day. It's like, in spirit, separation doesn't exist? It's just it's actually, it's so interconnected. I don't know how to I don't know how to
I
explain the
feel like we're
frequency of it.
we're interwoven. I feel like we're interwoven through through the fabric of time and space in a way that we can't comprehend.
Yeah, and I feel like even, like, the biggest separation is actually in the body more than in spirit. You know what I mean? Because then, well, that's for a whole nother, a whole nother podcast.
Do you feel like after Erin passed and you walked through, that the grief of losing a sister, but then seeing the synchronicities and seeing the light and feeling the connection and like as she's not really gone, she's just in a different, you know, she's her energy is in a different time and space, but she's still with you. Do you feel like it helped you to embody the light even more?
I do. I do. I think it helped me embody the light so much where I was kind of postponing the grief though. So it was like I wasn't going through the process of grief really. Like I think um I felt like such like it sounds horrible to say, but I just got so much like evidence of how thin the veil is that it like put so much adrenaline in me, and it's like, "Oh, okay, like, this is so exciting, and then it's this," and then once the holidays hit and it was like, "Oh, she's really not here," like, in her physical body, and I could feel, like not that my family did anything wrong, but they weren't as they were getting signs and synchronicities like crazy too, but, I don't know, it, like, sucks you back into, like, the physical plane, I guess you could say, like, earth plane, I don't know, and it's just, like, then the weight of that just kinda crumbled. I don't know how to explain that. So, like, then I got kinda catapulted into grief, and then it's been harder for me to climb back out of it because I don't know how to explain it. It's just it comes in waves, I guess you could
Yeah.
say,
Well, I
and then
think it's
she
so
oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. I think you're just always learning in through the different energies of the highs and the
Yeah.
lows. You're always learning. What
Well, and
else
I
do you
think I had to learn to, like, fully let her go, and, she came to me in a dream when I was just because I was kinda getting, like, a little not obsessive, but just it was kind of addicting to, like, get all of the signs and synchronicities. It felt, really beautiful, but it wasn't allowing me to release her, which I was supposed to do. So she came to me in a dream, and she told me that I had to let her go because she didn't wanna be the anchor in this story anymore, she wanted to be, like, the wind in my sails, and I remember I was, like, really, really pissed at her because I was like, "Well, what do you mean? I've been, like, trying so hard to, like, keep you here," but I think she needed to, like, be released also, in a sense, and I was, like, really upset about that. But now that I have let her go, she still rushes in when I call her, but it's not like an everyday constant, "Here's a sign, here's a sign, here's a sign," like, validation. I think I had to learn how to sit in the silence of not having her be here, and I think that was really difficult for me to do because it all of a sudden, like, even though she wasn't here, all those little sparkles of glitter and rainbows made me feel like she was, and then I had to sit in the reality that she wasn't, and then I think it kinda, like, crashed down way too fast for me. I don't
Yeah.
know, that probably sounds scary, but it's the truth.
No, well, truth matters, and I think that, for me, I was just talking to friends about this week, is that there was a period of time and our experiences are different, obviously, but there was a period of time where I could always hear spirit, like, spirit was all around me and guiding me, and everything's gonna be okay, and here was this, like, prophetic vision, and it would come true, and you're just like, "Okay, like, I have some semblance of control because I can see or I know," and, like, all that
Yeah,
stuff, and then there was that moment where it all disappeared. And I couldn't hear, and I couldn't feel, and I couldn't see, and I was like, "Oh my god, is it gone? Like, is this gone?" But really, I think that's the wilderness that Jesus talks about, you know?
yeah,
It's like you go into the wilderness and you have to really find your own discernment, you have to find your own healing and your own, like, I can't rely on anything other than
yeah,
my own intuition, my own discernment, my own faith, and my own heart to guide me, and so I feel like there's this period where, like, it will get quiet. I think
mhm,
that's really, very, very, very important to share with the collective because everyone I've talked to that when they experienced it, all of them have said, "What did I do wrong? Did I do
yeah,
something wrong? Like, why are you not here anymore? Why can't I see you? Where are my synchronicities? Where's my signs? Like, where's my messages?" And then there's nothing wrong. You just now have to go through this next layer, this next level of healing where you trust that you're gonna be cared for. You trust that you're okay. You trust that even if you can't see or feel or know, we're here that everything is still working out for your highest and greatest good. And so Aaron taking a step back and being like, "I'm the wind in your sails. It's time for you to soar. You're your own entity. You're your own star." He's like, "I
mhm,
have my own star too, and I'm in heaven and it's beautiful." He's like, "But you can create heaven on earth for the collective of humanity by being more you and then having your own identity that's not always content about her is what I'm kind of feeling, right? It's like,
Yeah.
who is Katie? And then Katie's light is so incredibly unique and valuable for the collective. Is that
Yeah.
kind of how you felt it settle for you too?
Yeah, I felt that, but I felt abandoned by her. Like, I was, like, really upset because I was like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, I've worked so hard." Like, I felt like I have done this, this, and this to get to this point of having this connection where I can teach others that this is real because it was real, and it is real, but then it was just, like, I was so, like, not mad at her because it was helping me, but I even had other, like, psychics come to me, like, I don't know if you follow, uh, Marcus Gregory, do you know who I'm talking about? The
I'm terrible with names. If I see faces, I usually can pick up on it.
Oh. He's from, like, the UK. He's, like, the red beard guy with red hair. I don't know. But he even was like, "My your sister came to me." It was after she had come to me in the dream, and he's like, "And you have to let her go. It's hurting you more than helping you at this point." And I was just, like, so mad. I was like, "What do you mean?" You know, and it was just I felt abandoned, and it was just, like, all of a sudden, all these abandonment wounds, like, flooded up to the surface, and I'm like, "Okay, I gotta heal these. This is what this is about."
Mhm.
And by what I found in that was so much support from my family when I felt so alienated from them. So it was just like, I understand, but it's like, I still just want my sister back, you know? And I get her, like, she's here all the time, but see, I'm like an emotional mess. But like, here's the thing I could cry, and then like 2 seconds, I'll be fine. Like,
Well,
I think,
emotion is just energy in motion, and you're moving what you need to move so that you can clear space, right? And we
yeah,
don't apologize
but
for crying anymore.
no, I don't. But it's just like, I feel like I'm at the place in my grief where I can invite the grief in. Like, I'm allowing myself to cry right now. I could probably sit here and not cry, but I feel like I'd be masking up, so I'm just letting it flow,
I don't mask
you know?
anymore. It's too painful for me to
Yeah.
mask. It hurt me, and I don't care about who I am and how I show up. And I think that you being real is what you need to do in this moment. It's just for you. And right now, it's just me
Oh,
and you in this
thank
room.
you.
There's no one else even here. It's just us 2. And I think
Yeah.
that, that feeling of abandonment coming to the surface, and this is like the most crazy thing because it hurts so bad. But
Yeah.
Erin knows that you needed to let it go. Erin knows that you had abandonment to heal. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a gift because oftentimes we're like, when you're in the high, because it's so high, when you're like,
Yeah, it's really
oh
high.
my god, it's so high. You have to ground it back in. But then when you think about why do I have to ground this back in? It feels so good up here. It's because you have to be relatable to the collective because you came here for the collective and for yourself. You have to heal all
Yeah.
these different fractals of yourself that are hiding and like just stored in these deep crevices. And you're like, what's going to bring that to the surface? She's not feeling this anymore, but we know it's still there. Okay, fine. We'll push this energy through. And that's kind of how I experience it now is that, yeah, getting mad, getting angry, sacred rage is real. And feeling abandoned
Yeah.
by the person you love the most who you were feeling every day, like that would make me angry. And when my mom
Yeah.
transitions, if there's a moment where I can't feel her, I will know exactly how you feel and I will remember this conversation.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just think that all emotions are valid. I teach kids that every single day that there's no good emotion, no bad emotion. All emotions are valid. And how
Mm.
beautiful is it that we get to walk through a physical experience because we were non-physical before this. Erin's back to being non-physical and she's happy and
Yeah.
like, flying around like a little beam of light. And we're over here back in this physical body and we have the human sensations, but that's what we came here for. And the more I
Yeah.
realized that I came here not to suffer, but to experience, not to hurt, but to learn, right? I'm expanding and I'm contracting. I am learning and I am thriving and I am failing and I am falling and I am growing. Like, when I finally found that gratitude for, "Oh my god, I chose this. Even if it hurt, I chose
Yeah.
this because my soul wanted to know what it felt like to feel X, Y, and Z." And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's love. It's love. Like, you hurt because you love her so much,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
And we
totally. It's totally grief is love, and it's just, and I love how you talked about gratitude too, because gratitude is really what set me free of the pain during that time. Because when you find gratitude even through the painful moments, it literally just it truly sets you free. Like, I even remember, like, at her funeral, I didn't cry at her funeral. I was sitting there so proud of my sister, and I know it sounds kinda I had so much I cried like in private, but I felt like I had to be the strong one for my
Yeah.
family, I guess. Like, I had to be the one that's like, "Nope, she's in heaven or wherever," you know what I mean? And she's taken care of, and she's beautiful and all this stuff, and I felt like even crying was, like, exposing that I didn't believe in that. So I would just I know that sounds silly, but you know but I remember, like, even when they were, like, lowering her into the ground, I remember just finding gratitude in how the gravedigger guys, I don't know what they're called, they were communicating without words, like, to, like, lower, like, the straps down, and I just my heart was just pouring so much gratitude towards those men because it was just like, how that wouldn't be a fun job to do, and they were doing it so respectfully, and it was just, you know I don't know. I know that sounds silly, but it's just I try to find gratitude through, like, the whole process, and it really it helps the grief, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
no, deeply because, like and I need I like to go back and forth and sharing, like, my story and your story because I think it'll land with different people, right? And
Yeah.
with my mom, I literally went through the worst days of my life in 2023. Like, January was insane. I had my spiritual awakening. It's my first episode, right? And I was like, "Oh my god, my life is gonna end." And then boom, all of a sudden you hear and you see and you feel and you know, and you're like, "What is happening? I'm going crazy." But really, I'm just getting lucidity and clear mind and awake now. And then everything is beautiful. And then I'm like, "Oh, this is worse." And then they tell me, "Everything is gonna be okay. You'll be tested. You have the heart of David. You will survive this, but you will be tested along the way, but you will survive it and come out stronger than before." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get through this." And then I get the download that my mom's terminal, months before she's terminal.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I was so angry. I was like, "How dare you wake me up and then take my mom?" Like,
Yeah.
"What? What is this?"
I like, sorry, I, like, resonate with that so much because I say
Like,
sorry.
the audacity.
Yeah, and I'm like
I'm like, "What? I thought this is all good things are not gonna happen." And then when that's not necessarily what it's meant to be, like, my miracle for my mom was not necessarily her body fully healing because she's not. She's not. I'm writing her obituary now. It's like we're planning the funeral, like, that's where we're at. But I'm like, "Mom, do you plan on dying anytime soon?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Alright, cool. We made it 2 years. Let's keep going," right? And hospice kicked her
Yeah.
out. She had to go do hospice, like, crazy stuff. But God
Yeah.
promised me the miracle, but the miracle wasn't full healing. The miracle was time for my family to heal. And all I keep hearing through you is that Erin was the mechanism of healing. And before you found out that she had cancer, she was trying to figure out how to heal the family. And her
Yeah.
soul's way of healing it was through this. And
Yeah.
that sometimes is the miracle because the fractures in our families are not there on purpose. They're there they're not there to hurt us. They're there to help us. And it's up to us to heal. And when we heal ourselves and we love ourselves unconditionally, through which sometimes grief will bring you there, then you have unconditional love for everyone else. And I have unconditional love for each member of my family. I have forgiven every single person for every single hurt that they've done. I've apologized for everything that I've done. And grief has a way of bringing that shit to the surface. And that's the miracle.
Yeah.
That's all I can say is that my mom surviving 2 years and some change, the miracle was time for
That's
us to
really
heal.
beautiful. I'm sorry you're going on this journey too, though. It's a difficult path to be on, but
It is.
you
And
do it
it
with such grace.
well, thank you. I mean, I I don't fear death anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I'm almost and this sounds so weird, and I'm not at all in a bad, dark place, but it's like I'm almost jealous that they get to see what it's like to touch Jesus and to, like,
Yeah.
be in that light and to be home and to be free. Have you experienced that too?
Yeah, well, it was when I one of the last conversations I had with Erin, I'm like, "I'm so jealous." I'm like, "I'm so jealous." And,
What?
um, I mean, I have children, I love them and everything, but I'm just like, there's a lot of lessons, and there's a lot of
Same.
suffering, and there's a lot of alchemizing and all that stuff, but, um, I do have something to share quick about Erin and Jesus, if it's okay, if you, so when she
Please,
was in,
please.
palliative care or, like, when she's gonna pass away, they had, she converted to be, Greek Orthodox with her husband, and so they called, this father, like a priest, I guess? I don't know, to come and bless her before, and it was gonna be the church that, her funeral was gonna be at. So Father Alex comes and he had shared with us that, when he got into the parking lot, there was in Greek Orthodox, they have, like, saint cards. Are you familiar with a saint card?
Right.
For funerals. It's not like a normal program, and he had said that when he opened the door in the parking lot to come visit Erin for the first time, there was a saint card on the ground that was the same saint card his father had when his father passed away. So he's like, "Oh, this is like something this is gonna be a powerful person that I'm gonna meet," kind of thing. And, he said he was, like, prepping himself, like, trying to he knew she was a convert, like, that, he had this idea that he was gonna have to teach her who Jesus really was because she wasn't born and raised in Greek Orthodox religion. And he said he was so humbled because when he opened the doors and he met her, he wanted to teach her about Jesus, and he goes, what he was met with, he's like, I saw the embodiment of Jesus there. She taught me so much. He goes, it was so paradoxical and she was so at peace. Like she taught me more than I could ever teach her. And it was just like, it's just washed away all of my fears because I relate to my sisters so much, like our hearts and our journey, even though she doesn't do like the cards, but she just, like our belief systems are so similar.
Mhm.
To hear that, it's just like, I was just so proud of her. And she was so beautiful. And I don't know, it just kinda washed away everything, and it's just like she teaches people even in her death, and it's just I don't know, it's big shoes to fill for me, but, um,
I
she's
mean,
just
that's
so
such a
beautiful.
compliment. What a compliment that,
Yeah,
like, someone thinks that they're gonna be the teacher and then they become the student.
yeah,
And I think that says a lot though too about faith, is that it's not always found in a church, it's found in the soul.
yeah,
And, Jesus talks about how the kingdom of heaven is within us. And
mhm,
everything that you've talked about, it feels like people could feel that in you and in Aaron. And people I say they can feel it in me too. Like I just make them feel safe. And that's what shining and being the light is, right? Be the light for all to see and feel. And that's what we go through. And I just think that she's such a gift in your journey and in so many other people's journeys because those videos have reached far and wide. And the the priest is not the only person who saw Jesus in Aaron,
yeah,
right? Like, her
and
voice
yeah,
was angelic, and, thank you for sharing that story, like, I'm, like,
yeah,
emotional myself just
it's okay, I'm like, "Let it flow." Yeah, it's kinda crazy because people will come and go back to the video of her singing or her smelling the rose, and they're just like, "Hey, I just want you to know I was thinking about your sister today," or "I heard her," or "I come back and listen to her song when I'm having a bad day," and, ironically, TikTok never removed that sound either, like, I don't think you're supposed to post, songs that aren't
Mm-mm.
originals, but,
No.
they never removed the sound, and
Ugh,
I didn't intend for it to be what it became, but it's just,
it was meant to be. It was just
yeah.
meant to be, and it was meant to heal and touch people's lives because, it did, and, yeah, I remember those videos, those days. I think everyone was like, "I didn't plan on crying at 8 a.m. on TikTok, but here I am. Thanks thanks, Katie."
I know. But
Uh,
it's just, my little sister and I talk about it a lot because 'cause we're really the only ones that really understand what it's like to lose Erin as a sister, like that role, but I know for her, it was really hard for her to see Erin in that state, with the Rose video, because to her, it was like her sister dying, and for me, it was like, this is my sister at her strongest moment, like, she looks the most beautiful, and it's just we had different perceptions of Erin at that time. But truly when I don't like to think of her in that state with, where she lost everything, but when she was just stripped and vulnerable and just her, it's just like I could see her soul just beaming through. So, I don't know, and I even asked her, I was like, "Is it okay if I share you in this vulnerable state?" And she's like, "Oh, Katie, like, this is part of my journey. This is part of my life. This is who I am." And she's like before she was like, "No, don't post anything, like, I don't want my port showing," and then at the end, she's like, "No, I think this will help people actually, like, it's okay." But I know my family has had a hard time with me sharing her in that state, but, I still feel called to because I think she's the most beautiful in that I know that sounds maybe backwards, but I really do. think she's the most
She was
beautiful.
just pure. She was in her, like, rawest, realest form of like, there's no mask, there's no, like, the makeup and, like, all of
Yeah.
the charade of what humans do to be seen as beautiful. She just was beautiful. She is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think, like, sharing her in that way is magnificent. And so I just wanna say thank you and to both of
Oh,
you for sharing it with the world. So,
well,
Katie, Katie,
sorry.
if if if
I
you
should have
have
grabbed tissues. I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Sorry."
I
I'm
mean,
like, wipe people
oh
probably
my
think I'm
god.
so gross because 'cause I'm, like, wiping my whatever, it's fine.
Listen, this is real. My sleeves are wet right now. Like, I'm like but, like, what do you have as a message for people who are waking up, who are going through this? Because the world is really crazy right now, and people are clinging on to hope. So what message for an awakening soul or a newly awakened soul do you have?
That they're not alone, that they're that's a tough one. I have so much to say, but I don't know how to, like, get it out. It's just you're not alone. There's so many people that are going through similar things, that it's there's lessons in all of this stuff. There's lessons of freedom, there's lessons of peace, that it's gonna be better. I mean, how do I say this? It's a roller coaster, but it's part of the journey. It's something that we're meant to experience. It's something I believe we signed up for, even if we hate that we signed up for it. But there's purpose here, and it's to just you're being called to be yourself. You're being called to just be who you are and to kind of get rid of whatever programming we've been kind of conditioned to be in. And I really think that even just kind of sharing your voice, even if it's a whisper, it creates such a beautiful ripple. And that you matter. Like you absolutely matter. Like it's you might not have an idea of that you might not matter, but like sorry, I'm so ADHD, but it's just like before I came on TikTok and everything like that, I couldn't even call and order a pizza because I'm so afraid of being heard on the phone.
Wow.
Like I was so afraid. But it's like I had to set myself up for like a rejection therapy kind of thing. I was like, well, what's the worst that could happen? People are not gonna like me. But it's like, what if people love you? And it's just I don't know. I don't know how everybody has so much love to give and to receive, and it's not um I don't know how to put it into words, but it's just if you have a calling, if you feel like you have a purpose to do anything. I mean, sometimes our purposes aren't to get on TikTok and share our
Right.
vulnerability. Sometimes it's to be like the door greeter and smile at people or to be like a hospice nurse or you know what I mean? I don't know, or to be
Yeah.
the IT guy behind all of it so it can be heard by everybody. It's like everybody has a purpose and it's not big or small. It's just don't compare yourself to others in this journey or don't compare like if you're not getting the signs and synchronicities the way that I am, it doesn't mean anything's wrong with your connection to that person. It's just I think you're getting them, you're just not paying attention to them,
Yeah.
because there's fears in receiving it.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that this is available to anyone. It's not I'm not I think I'm special in my own unique way, but I don't think I'm better than anyone because I have this journey. I think I'm just God placed me in a place where I am stupid enough to share share it without a mask. I guess like being like crying on the internet. But
Yeah.
you're gonna get triggered through this journey. But the triggers they're gonna teach you who you are. We talked about anger. I think anger is a map. So like allow yourself to feel everything. Um, we're meant to create. We're meant to share. We're meant to build communities and uh, I think through grief, that was a doorway and a portal for me to really shed all of the masks because it just I guess I didn't really have an opportunity not to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's so beautiful. Every single word of that is just so valid. And like at the end of the day, just be you. Like when you're just you authentically, it's felt and people will respond in kind to it. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being you
Yeah.
today, each and every
Thank you
day.
for being you.
I love your face.
I
So,
love your face.
Katie, where can people find you if they want to learn more about you or get a reading with you?
You can go to well, I'm on TikTok right now or Instagram. as Zenny Light, Zenny_light. And then I have a website, zennylight.com. I will say though, just so people know, I don't ever reach out to you. So like
Mhm.
there are scammers out there, and I know that sounds silly to disclaim, but so many people I get messages like, "Did you send me a message?" It's not me. So,
No, the scammers are real. They steal our content and they make their own pages and they monetize off of our pages. I have one who's got more views, more followers than my own page. I'm
they
like, "Damn it."
hustle.
I
They
know.
hustle so hard. They even like convince like my friends in real life to send them money, and I'm like, "What?"
Like, "Stop. I will text you." Like, I promise.
I know. I went to like work one day, and one of my coworkers is like, "Why couldn't I just pay you right now?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You just gave me a reading last night." I was like, "No, I did not."
Oh, shit.
So then
So long
I
story
gifted her a free reading because I felt bad, but then at the end of the day, I'm just like, that's out of my control. I can't. There's nothing I can do about it except warn people. So that's why I'm saying that
Yeah.
now.
And I'll put Zenny's real, well, Zenny, I'll put Katie's real handles in the description and the bio so that you can find her and I'll tag her real profile. But thank you so much, Katie, for being such a light and for sharing your story with the world and for being your real authentic self each and every day.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel the same way about you too. So, and thank you for it's an honor to be on your show and everything like that. It truly is. So, and thank you for being a safe space for me to express myself and
Oh,
without any mask.
no,
So,
I
it's just
loved it.
yeah.
This one was so much fun. So until next time, everybody, this is Light Beyond the Ashes, and just keep leaning into the healing. Don't be afraid of the dark. You will find the light within and you will get to the other side. I want to remind you, as always, that when you heal, I heal. When I heal, you heal. And when we all heal, we rise. We're in this together. Keep going. We've got this.